What up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. This is Dan. Doing another reactive video here. This was sent to me by a friend. Supposedly talking about, I guess, racism and whether or not we can be racist to white people. This is going to be a very interesting video. Um, Anytime you're going to talk about race, things are going to get tricky. But I don't know. In my opinion, seeing the social climate right now and how everyone is so anti-white oppression, um, there is a lot of anti-white stuff right now going on, and it is racist in my opinion. What's the definition of racism when you you have one when you believe that one race is superior over another or others, right? Um, so even if you're not saying that your race and other races are better, you're still saying that the white race is worse, which I would still say counts as racism. Um, Interesting topic. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about what we're doing to white people. There's been something going on for a while now that we're being told not to notice. More to the point, that we're asking white people not only to ignore, but to accept. The rising tide of racial hatred against white people. In the past decade, there has been a noticeable cultural shift in what constitutes acceptable speech as it relates to white people. Back when I was a kid, in the early 2000s, the mainstream American culture preached about respecting each other's differences and not seeing color. Nowadays, we say that not seeing color is racism, that you must see color. But the more I see how things are unfolding, the more I'm convinced that this is wrong. Back then, saying something offhanded about white people.
Uh, he has a really good point here. Um, it's kind of weird because, I mean, throughout the 90s and everything, we're fighting against racism and we're getting rid of things like segregation, right? Everyone's supposed to be included into everything the same. But the way that the radical left movement has been going, they've been pushing this agenda that segregates people again. And it's not only through race, it's through everything. Everything has a label, everything has a category. LGBTQ, you're you identify as this, you are this, you're a woman, you're a man. Um, and rather than just saying like, hey, we're all people on the same planet, everything is categorized. You're a Republican, you're a Democrat. It's it's how can you get rid of segregation when everyone and everything is segregated? Yeah, so
People were seen as not appropriate, just as it would be to say something offhanded about people of any other race. But that soon gave way to our current times.
you know what's really cool too is that he's an Asian guy and he's saying this. So it's not like a white person saying like, "Oh, you can't be racist to white people or whatever, blah blah blah." He's Asian. He's a minority. Maybe some people are gonna come out and be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter because he's a model minority." Um, Something like that, but we're a minority still. Um, yeah, uh, interesting.
In which there exists virtually no limit to what racial minorities can and do say about white people. I believe this is the natural outgrowth of a perverse ideology that teaches us that every societal ill, is the fault of white people, and that whatever prejudice acts we may inflict upon them does not constitute discrimination because we don't have the power to discriminate. And alarmingly, this is particularly pronounced in the younger generation. But is it true? Do we not have the power to discriminate?
We definitely do have the power to discriminate. I mean, I mean, in the Western world, we are considered minorities here, but if you were to go to a country in Asia, they discriminate against white people, they discriminate against black people. Like, they think they're superior over there. It's just that here in the West, the majority of people here are Caucasian, and I mean, everyone's gonna feel like they're being oppressed by the white man. Um, so it really depends where you are. Of course, Asians are going to be capable to discriminate. Of course, black people are going to be capable of discriminating. Um, so that's it's a ridiculous question to think that minorities cannot discriminate.
Well, let's see. First, let's take a look at the racial hatred at the interpersonal level. In today's society, it has become somewhat fashionable to think things and say things about and to white people that would not be acceptable if it was said about any other race. And we're being taught that this double standard is not wrong, that it is rather a form of empowerment. They'll attribute negative experiences that they've had with white people to their whiteness. You had an argument in line at the grocery store with a white person, they were acting entitled because they were white. A white driver cut you off when you were driving, they need to check their white privilege.
Yeah, and what if it wasn't a white guy that did it, right? What are you going to say at that point?
Your actions, your conduct, and your existence, in other words, boil down to your whiteness. And ashamedly, at one point in time, this was how I used to think as well. And beyond the people in my circle, I noticed that many people of color have this sort of blase attitude, an attitude most particularly pronounced when there are no other white people around. Things are being said not just behind closed doors, but out in the open.
So yeah, I'm somebody who makes a lot of racial jokes. I'm not going to say racist jokes. I make jokes about races. Um, I stereotype, I generalize. I do that about my own race. I do it about other races, and it's because I have been around these races enough that I feel like I understand their culture and uh, I guess what their lifestyle enough that I can laugh about it with them. I'm not laughing at it about them. I'm not laughing at them. Um, it's just like, you understand each other, you can laugh at the same things. And that's not racist. What is racism? Racism is when you're doing something with the intent to hurt, to hate, to damage. Um, Saying a joke is, yeah, maybe you're a little bitch and you want to be offended by it, but it doesn't mean that the intent was there was to hurt you. Maybe somebody says something that's a little bit ignorant. Ignorance is not the same as racism. Um, Maybe they just weren't educated or they never had that kind of um, they were never exposed to that kind of environment or that kind of culture or people. That doesn't make them racist. Uh, it's it's pretty interesting. I have my brother-in-law is white as well, and I used to love just making him feel uncomfortable. But there's a funny story like we benefit from it too because we've been to Chinese restaurants and had to wait in line to get a table because it was busy, and then he comes in, towering white guy, asks for a table, and they gave him a table first before anyone else. We benefited from it. I don't know. I'm not gonna complain, but I do enjoy making him feel awkward about certain things though. With the white guilt and stuff like that. It's fun for me to see, but I don't mean any of it in hate, and he understands that. He jokes around about our culture too, and it's just all love.
Not just between close friends, but between complete strangers. So here's the thing, this is something that I've experienced countless times, so I know that there are other people who are experiencing it too. I know it must resonate with at least some of you. The difficulty
Hmm.
here is that no matter how many anecdotes I share, they are just that, anecdotes. And people who refuse to believe that this is happening will just chalk it up to my experiences being a fluke. Or worse yet, they'll say I'm lying. So I've compiled some TikTok videos. I want you to take a look at the things that are being said about white people, especially by the younger generation, the kind of statements people wouldn't dare say about people of any other race. Take a look at what is stunningly in vogue in today's society and ask yourselves, where does this lead to years down the line?
You have a token white and you're hanging out with your
I've seen this video. Uh, this video made me super uncomfortable. Like, I can't agree with what she says. You guys just gotta listen to it.
friend group of color, you need to ask permission from everybody in the group to bring your white friend. Like, don't just bring them with them. I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying. And another thing, it feeds into their ego. Like, don't let them think they're a good white person.
Accomplice's ass.
So that was kind of funny, like the white shenanigans. Bringing a white friend into your friend circle, you gotta ask everyone. Like, no, I fucking don't. If I feel like bringing a white friend, if I feel like bringing a black friend, I can bring whoever the fuck I want. I've already vouched for them, and if you're not comfortable, don't come. If you're gonna be a racist piece of shit, I don't even know why I would be hanging out with you in the first place, to be honest. Um, but yeah, I don't need to ask permission to bring people unless I already know that somebody on a personal level has an issue with somebody else. That's a whole different story. But to be like excluding an entire race because some bullshit like that, that is racism.
How can they support Black and Indigenous people of color? And sometimes I really don't know what to say, but here's one easy way. Just don't have babies.
That is that is savage, dude. Maybe that's a bad word to use as well too. Uh, obviously with savage and Aboriginals and stuff like that, that's a word that's very touchy. I'm probably gonna get canceled now. Uh, yeah, that is tell people not to procreate because of their race. That's insane, dude. That's insane.
Single-handedly caused the white genocide that they are so afraid of. With 2.25 billion Asian women and half a billion white men, baby, it'll only take 2 generations. In 2 generations, there will no longer be any blonde-haired.
These are some things I noticed about white American culture.
So what she's saying, I don't get what she's saying. Let me go back.
Just don't have babies.
Women can single-handedly cause the white genocide that they are so afraid of. With 2.25 billion Asian women and half a billion white men, baby, it'll only take 2 generations.
So is she saying to have these Asians sleep with white men and procreate with them, and therefore it will make them no longer pure and white, and that will get rid of them all? That is that is so weird because that is so weird. You're you're trying to say that you want to sleep with them and have children with them to get rid of them. That is your form of genocide. You're it's genocide through procreation. That's such an interesting concept. Okay.
In 2 generations, there will
Unless I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, leave it in the comments. That's what I'm getting from it. But if I'm wrong, yeah, tell me in the comments.
no longer be any blonde-haired.
These are some things I noticed about white American culture. Being grounded is a punishment to them. That's what they call punishment. The least grounded, least balanced, most destructive race considers being grounded.
I wouldn't say the most destructive. I mean, if you're talking about in just your culture, I don't know. I don't know the full history of it, but I do know that in Asian culture, Asians are extremely destructive. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of this dude named Genghis Khan. Um, the Japanese invaded a lot of Asian countries, raped, pillaged, murdered, genocide. You've heard of the massacre of Nanjing. Um, I mean, Asians been killing each other for centuries. So it's hard to compare. And yeah, I don't know where you're getting this information from that white people are the most dangerous and destructive. Yeah.
A punishment? Yeah. They also say really violent phrases. They say things like, kill two birds with one stone. Why do we have to kill the birds? Why is everything so violent? It's almost like one's language and phrases reflects one's nature.
So that new Jeffrey Dahmer movie on Netflix is the perfect example of the sensationalization of white violence. People have a much easier time sympathizing with white criminals than they do with black victims. People think these shows are harmless, but they actually contribute to a much bigger issue. It contributes to the viewpoint that white people are less violent than everyone else, and white violence is something to be consumed in media, and that's it.
What is with Caucasian people and like their inability to like read a fucking room? Like, y'all act like you don't understand shit because y'all be the first ones during a conversation about the Holocaust to get so mad when black people be like, you do realize that the original Jewish people were black, right? White people do not need to explain to anybody about us all bleeding red because, baby, you all are the people that need to learn that lesson. Clearly, history shows that you all are the people that like to pillage and eradicate, enslave and oppress, attempt to suppress greatness because you all simply don't have it.
Um, yeah, I mean, I just said the exact same thing that when I took the last pause break. Um, Asians have probably done it way worse, way, way worse. So I can't really, I can't really agree to it. I mean, even if you're gonna look at shit, like look at Africa right now. There's all this slavery and like them killing each other. You saw the movie Hotel Rwanda. That kind of shit is going on right now as we speak. So what are you talking about? You know, you had slavery 400 years ago. You had the Holocaust. I don't even know if you count Russians as white people because technically they're in Asia. I don't know. Um, but there's way more atrocities out there as well too. Those aren't the only things that are happening.
Here go y'all cum goblins who don't even live in the fucking city. Which, by the way, the Q-tip people are the last ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything. Y'all wouldn't be in this country had it not been for y'all stealing it. So y'all are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity.
TV is not a necessity.
You feel like you're better than because people are out here stealing and you would never. First of all, if you are a Mayo monster, that is how your ancestors got everything from stealing. People are.
And that's a behavior that's very common.
So she's saying that stealing is okay. She's trying to justify stealing and looting. Like, why don't you just, instead of stealing and looting, why don't you just, not live up to a stereotype that black people just steal? Why do you have to live up to that stereotype? It's so dumb.
Among white women. You may have not intended that, but there
Why is
are
she saying it
many
like that?
white women who act exactly like you.
If you can find it in your heart this holiday season to donate to the discriminated.
I didn't even pay attention to what she said. because I was so distracted by her the way she was saying white.
Not
This
intended
guy's doing
that,
it
but
too. What the
that's
fuck?
very
Ayo, monster. That is how your ancestors got everything from
Oh
stealing.
my
People
god,
and
I'm
that's a
too tired
behavior
for
that's
this.
very common among white women. You may have not intended that, but there are many white women who act exactly like you.
If you can find it in your
Like what?
Many very
monster.
Did I
That is
miss
how your
something?
ancestors got everything from stealing. People are
and that's a behavior that's very common among white
I don't know what behavior she's
You may
talking
have
about.
not intended
Whatever.
that, but
find it in your heart this holiday season to donate to the Discriminated White Fund. You'd be helping millions.
Nothing says high protein like cicadas and cheese. Make sure you.
And nothing says caucasity like that right there.
What caucasity looks like. Roaming Asian grocery stores like it's an amusement park.
Explain to me why white people don't wear shoes outdoor, but wear shoes inside.
That is kind of funny. Not gonna lie.
We're both white women. We are inherently a danger in spaces for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color simply by existing.
I agree. I agree. I mean, even if you don't agree to a certain idea, it doesn't mean that you're a danger to the people. For example, if we want to talk about a different topic like transgenders, just because you don't agree with the concept of being transgender doesn't mean you're a danger to them. The people who are a danger to them are the people who are actually actively acting out against it. Um, I mean, people don't agree with the things I believe in either. They're not a danger to me. I'm still living my life. It's just this mindset of being a victim all the time. Pussies.
It's white cis men who are a part of the far right-winged ideology of fascism. That is a true threat and the terrorism to this country.
If BIPOC
That is a true men who are a part of
Indigenous and other people of color simply by existing.
It's white cis men who are a part of the far right-winged ideology of fascism. That is a true threat and the terrorism to this country.
I disagree. I think, I mean, I somewhat agree because, yeah, the far right is a threat to the country, but they're no less of a threat than the far left Marxists either. Both are very big threats. Both are full of idiots that have low IQ. They're completely stupid. I hate talking to people from both sides. Mainly because you're all idiots, to be honest. Like, go fuck yourselves, all of you.
If BIPOC stand in the street and scream at the top of their lungs, I hate all white people, I want all white people to go die, die white devil, you cracker bitch, that's still not racism.
Yes, it is. If you don't think that's racism, you're a fucking idiot. Because if you said that about any other race in the world, you would be called a racist. So what makes you say that you cannot say that to a white person, but you can say that to everybody else? You're fucking racist if you do that.
You're not one of the good white people. Stop separating us from the bad.
So she's basically saying there's no way for her to be a good white person. What kind of dumb shit is this? There are good whites there. My brother-in-law is a good white. He's never done anything wrong. As far as I know, his family hasn't enslaved anybody. Um, you know, he's just like anybody else. Hardworking guy, trying to make money, raising his kids, you know. Like, he hasn't done anything to deserve being called a racist or like an oppressor or nothing like that. So, yeah. There are good whites out there, and there are also bad whites. And it's the same with any other race there is as well too. There's good Asians, there's bad Asians. There's good black people, there's bad people. Bad black people. There's good and bad in everything, and unfortunately, that's something you have to accept. Just because you're part of a minority doesn't make you automatically good. You can still be a piece of shit, and you probably are.
Bad white people. Don't sit out there in comments and say, we don't claim them. We are them. We are the ones shooting up schools. We are the ones raping people, the ones enslaving people.
And I'll say it. I hate being white. Which means I'm one of the good ones.
All white people are inherently racist.
Yes.
Can you be racist against white people?
Based off of the definition.
People are inherently racist.
Which means I'm one of the good ones.
All white people are inherently racist.
Yes.
Can you?
So you're automatically racist if you're white. What kind of dumb logic is this? Like, how do these people fucking live? It's so hard to believe that people like this exist. People are fucking dumb. I hate this planet, man.
Can you be racist against white people?
Based off of the definition of racism, yes, but it's not gonna hurt them.
Okay, well at least she got that right. Based off the definition of racism, yes.
And hurt their opportunities like it does people of color. Well,
It is hurting their opportunities. Like, you can't do shit anymore as a straight white man, a straight white woman. Like, all these people are, they're, I don't even know how to say it. Like, it is not a good time to be a white man or a white female right now. Like, no matter what you do, you're wrong. You're entitled. You're an oppressor. You're a part of the problem. And I don't know. This video is exhausting.
Technically you can. It's not like an issue.
you can't oppress the oppressor.
You can't oppress the oppressor. Shut the fuck up.
Why do people not understand that
At least she's admitting she's racist.
you can't be racist to white people? It's impossible. The system is not set up that way. You can insult white people, but it is not racism.
I don't know. I think you should read a dictionary and look up the term or the word definition. The definition of the word racism. Fuck, I'm so tired. I can't even speak straight. And this is like killing my brain cells. I expect more from you, Asian. I expect more from you. And I'm stereotyping that Asians should be smart. You're dumb as shit.
Calling a white person a tub of mayonnaise and a like flower looking ass, that's not racist.
You went all the way to Africa to physically take black people from their homes, shove them in on boats where a lot of them got diseases and died, told them where they could sit on a bus, told them which schools they could go to, which water fountains they could use, which bathrooms they could use, and that's sugarcoating it. Those are just terms. I'm not even describing all the disgusting things that happen, and they don't even want revenge. They are letting you guys skate by asking for equal rights. That's it? And you're still saying no? They...
To be fair, the people that exist now are not the people who were doing that back then. I mean, maybe some of the old people, yeah, but I mean, if you're part of the younger crowd, like, it's not their fault. They were not the ones that had slaves. They were not the ones that went over and took black people from their homes and brought them over. They're not the ones that were segregating people. Like, you can't have people who are not involved in that pay for the crimes of others.
They are...
That's what they do in North Korea. I was watching Yeonmi Park video, and she's saying that if you speak out against the dictator or whatever the case may be, they not only imprison you, but they imprison your entire family for generations. Like, that's some dictator level shit that she's talking about. I wonder if she's North Korean.
Not as angry as they should be. Y'all are getting off easy and you're still saying no? Fuck you.
Some people look at that and chalk it up to the grumblings of the powerless. That's the idea that when you have a power disparity, the less powerful sort of has this general society given leeway to complain about the more powerful. The villagers complaining about their king doesn't have the same ring as the king making snide and crude comments about the villagers. But that's not what's going on here. Because although certain segments of our society refuse to believe this, even as evidence mount before our very eyes, in one side of the political aisle, people of color actually have greater power than white people. That is the truth that is not being acknowledged by the people that need to hear it, because this gets in the way of them wielding that power in the way they want, malignantly. I've heard from somewhere that politics is downstream of culture, and I think that is certainly correct. We have a mainstream culture that tells us it's okay to hold prejudiced and hateful view of white people, and our politics is then infused with this energy, and we see active, overt, and on the books racial discrimination of white people that those who are perpetuating this hatred is refusing to see as discrimination. They'll say, no, 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 this is remediation. These are the same people who are making tenuous arguments that some of our race-neutral laws discriminate against people of color. And this is certainly evidence that in one side of the political aisle, people of color have more power than white people. Because if we didn't have the power, we wouldn't be able to put into place practices and policies that does this. That's what power is.
It's
Things
true.
like Minneapolis local government agreeing to a contract with the teachers union that says white teachers must be fired first. New York City's government enacting a policy of having white seniors go to the back of the line on life-saving COVID treatment. A college professor that says white people should be killed and facing no repercussions. Cornell University banning white people.
Could you imagine if a white person said that? Could you imagine if a white person said that? Like, if a white person said that black people should be killed, or Asian people should be killed, or Indian people should be killed. That is ridiculous. You think they would still have their job? Hell no. Hell no.
From rock climbing lessons. One of many, many, many instances of liberal colleges doing the utmost.
Even here where I live, I just saw an article about a movie theater that was only allowing black people to go watch movies there. Like, is that not segregation? I don't get it. Like, why are we going backwards?
To exclude and ostracize white students. BIPOC only events equal no whites, but they don't have the guts to say that, even though that is what that is.
100%.
Different than the mere grumblings of the common villager. The villagers have surrounded the palace, demanding Marie Antoinette's head. The power dynamics have shifted. That is a fact. Progressive media outlets do not cover these stories. Some people out there have no idea that this is going on. But worse, some others out there know but agree with what's going on. And for those people to convince themselves that this is not racial discrimination, they play mind tricks and word games.
Yeah.
They use phrases and talking points like punching up. You can't be racist to white people. You can't oppress the oppressor, meaning I'm acting oppressively, but I've designated you as the oppressor, so everything
Right.
goes. Or Ibram X. Kendi's infamous words, the only way to remedy past discrimination is current discrimination. Or when people say things like, what we're doing to white people is not racism because racism is prejudice plus power and we don't have the power. They use all this mind-bending apparatus to delude themselves into believing what they're doing faces no moral quandary. But in the back of their minds, perhaps in their subconscious minds, is racial revenge. We experience it, you experience it too. See how you like it. That people of color are using our newfound power to act this way and then pretend like none of this is going on leads me to believe that we would have done the same thing that white people did were we to be in their historical position. Because such acts have its roots in human nature, not white people nature. And one can only imagine what might happen in the coming decades when the demographics of the US will have shifted such that white people will no longer constitute the majority, when the younger generation you've just seen have graduated from elite schools and hold positions of power in our institutions, our government, corporations, entertainment, news media, and so forth, how they might, in wielding the levers of society, be able to rationalize, using their adult brain, the hatred that was embedded in their minds during their adolescence. What we're seeing is just the beginning.
I
To the
agree.
white people who are watching, I just want to say, you are not an oppressor for refusing to accept an ideology that teaches people to hate you, that teaches you that you are inherently bad, that your children are inherently bad,
I agree.
that you're inherently racist no matter what you do or how you think, that you need to repent by taking affirmative steps in your life to redress harms that your ancestors may have done, or the racist actions of other white people. In fact, you are not an oppressor, period. You
Agreed.
did not choose to be born white, just like
Agreed.
many of us did not choose to be born in our race.
Agreed.
And to ask of you, at the individual level, for example, to give your life in service of people of color, to be used as physical barriers at protests, to give away your house to black people instead of your children, all actual things that have been publicly demanded of white people, to ask this of you is morally reprehensible collective punishment. You are not under any obligation to carry yourself in any sort of way that others demand of you just because of the color of your skin.
100%.
This, you need to do this and you need to do that because you benefit from privilege thing is bogus.
Yeah.
It is just a way for people harboring racial animus to attack you, to say that the accomplishments you've achieved in your life isn't yours,
True.
and to silence you.
True.
It is not you. It is this ideology that is wrong and perverse. It
Yep.
is one cloaked in a shroud of pseudo-justice and self-righteousness, all the while excreting toxic fumes of racial hatred. It blames all white people for the actions of their ancestors, something you have no control over, while absolving black people of personal responsibility for their own individual actions by holding that if black people commit acts of harm, for example, towards another community, that's the fault of white supremacy.
Yep.
White people are controlling them like puppets on a string.
Yeah, it's taking no accountability for your own actions and blaming another party for it. That's what a lot of this is. That's what a lot of far left Marxism is. None of these people are ever wanting to take accountability for their own actions, and they're always looking for somebody to blame for that shit.
It's a backwards, transgressive
Backwards.
ideology. If you don't harbor any hate in your heart but want to fight it as a matter of principle, this does not make you racist or bigoted. If you refuse to accept their premise in your head, but are too afraid to voice your opinion,
I don't give a fuck if you call me racist or bigoted because I know you're a moron. Your opinion doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about what you think. You're a fucking moron. So call me whatever you want. But if you think that white people are racist just for the fact that they were born white, you're dumb as shit. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Fuck you.
you're neither a coward nor a bad person. If you're of a liberal bent, but there's a small corner in your brain telling you as you're watching this video that perhaps some of this is wrong, listen to your intuition. Maybe you think, oh, I agree with most of what the progressive left teaches about racial justice, but just not with some of this disagreeable stuff, only at the extremes. I'm here to tell you that the rot starts at the core. This racial hatred of white people is a natural outgrowth, part and parcel of an ideology that attempts to indoctrinate us into believing that there is current systemic oppression going on, that all racial disparities we see today is the sole result of oppression by white people, when there are other more plausible explanations to be had that these same people are silencing as impermissible hate speech. They're telling you, shut up. You'll take it, and you'll like it. But contrary to what they're saying,
No
you don't have
thanks.
to take that. You can believe that the things that have been done in the past were morally wrong, as well you should, all the
Yep.
while believing that what is currently going on is also wrong, that we're going backwards, that this is history rhyming with itself. The table is
100%.
turning in an eye for an eye manner. As the
Yep.
great Mahatma Gandhi once said, an eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind. But those driven by hatred would sooner gouge everyone's eyes out than realize that true victory for people of color would have been having history record that when the power dynamics shifted, we treated white people with a kindness that their forefathers may not have shown our forefathers. But now, it will say when we gained the power, we turned around and started doing some of the same stuff to white people. Segregation, social ostracization, hatred sanctioned by government and law. And we're doing all of this while pretending like we're doing something valiant. We've missed our bus. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a course correction. So, to some people of color watching who are engaging in this sort of hatred, whether or not you're acutely aware, the same people that act like white people as a collective are not people, but rather some pernicious alien force that has come to invade the earth. With this video, I implore you to ask yourself, What are we doing to white people? As some people love to say, do better. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope that this new year brings you love.
Yeah, so he's right, man. I agree with it. I am friends with mostly minority people, um, mostly my kind of people, Asians. But I do have friends that are white. I do have friends that are black. I do have friends that are brown, even though they're also considered Asian as well. Um, it's I know there's a lot of people that are my kind of people that feel this way and they don't like white people and yeah, they're idiots. I don't even think they're. I would like to believe that they are capable of changing their mindset, but it's a very, very small glimmer of hope. I think these guys are deeply, deeply in this far left Marxist mindset, and it's sad to see because I care about these people, but let's be honest, they're dumb as shit. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.